Welcome into the Bulldog Blitz. I'm joined in by the head coach of the Anniston Bulldogs, Eddie Bullock. And Coach, we'll talk about the first round of the high school football state playoffs in Class 5A. You went over to Russellville, the region champions, over in Class 5A Region 8. A hard-fought game against one of the teams that will compete for a state championship. Came up just a little bit short in a 10-7 game. But first off, talk about just the way your team has played over the last maybe 4 to 5 weeks of the season, getting themselves into the postseason and then playing on Thursday night.
Well, I'm just proud of the way the guys played. We had to tighten up some things defensively, and, defense basically gave us a chance to, put ourselves in that situation. Mm-hmm. And, we went over to Russellville and gave them a pretty tough game, and we just came up a little bit short.
You'll see on the highlights the way it ended up happening, but for a large part of this game, it was a very, very, number one, a close game, but two, you took the lead, and then when they scored late, you had a chance to go back late. I mean, just talk about just the intensity of the playoffs, the intensity of that game, that matchup there in Russellville.
Well, that particular, at the end of that game, showed that we had matured a lot. Mm-hmm. We were able to handle adversity, even though we let them score, and we had situations where we probably should have gotten out of that, but we ended up letting them score. We went back right to the 2-minute drill and gave ourselves a chance. We just came up a little bit short, and that's just part of football, the growing process of learning how to take care of your football in 2 minutes and, finishing a game.
Do you see about how these players maybe reacted being in the playoffs, now understanding that there's only 32 teams left in the entire state of Alabama, and realizing they are part of it, and then being able to build on that for next season? Yes,
they absolutely saw that they had a chance to win the game and that it slipped away. And, immediately, a lot of the players told me at the end of the game that, Coach, we had them, and they felt like that we should have done a couple of things that probably could have changed the outcome of the game.
Right.
But, it's a learning process, and once you go through it, I think that'll catapult them in the next season. Now they have a taste of how it feels to get to the playoffs and what it takes to get there and what you need to do in order to stay in the playoffs.
Right.
And I think it'll give us a great boost for next year.
I know there's no such thing as moral victories, and I know we don't like to talk about moral victories a lot, but let's just talk about the last 2 weeks, because you played Fort Payne, who was a region champion in Class 6A. They'll make a run for the state championship. You have Russellville, who's a region champion in Class 5A, and between those two teams and between those two games, the margin of difference is 4 points. Talk about just being able to play with some of the best and what that does from a moral standpoint.
Well, it's a testament to how great, our team is and could have been, had we sort of dialed in earlier during the season. And we just, we had some opportunities that we missed. We had to teach some guys how to be leaders, what leadership is, and had to teach some guys about commitment. And once you get the guys committed, the end of the season was an example of what you could accomplish if you got everybody on the same page. And we played some good teams, but I think that we had a pretty good team too. It's just at certain times those teams were playing better than we were, and they knew how to put it together, and we were still learning how to put it together.
Absolutely. Lots in store here on the Bulldog Blitz. Take a look at first and second half highlights. We'll also talk about the upcoming offseason and the 2016 season with Coach Bullock. We'll be right back. Join us next here on the Bulldog Blitz. We're back here on the Bulldog Blitz, first half highlights. No score in the first quarter. Coach, talk about some of the things you wanted to see in the second quarter.
Well, just to maintain gap integrity, and the number one they have is a great running back. We wanted to box him in and make them throw the football. And right here you can see we had them doing that. And defense is swarming pretty well. We getting where we need to get to direct snap to the running back. And he's a pretty good running back, but like to run out the power set. And we had them pretty much doing what we wanted them to do. They completed a couple of short passes, but it was nothing that was overwhelming or anything. And right here you can see we were gang tackling and made some good plays right here. They ran the jet sweep right here, and we were able to box them in and make some tackles. So, I was very pleased with the defense, and we held them to a field goal. They had missed a field goal early in the first half, and we held them to a field goal right here, and so we pretty much classified that as a win on defense, and got the football back, and of course, Chris Beard right here makes a great run. Slips and fall a little bit, but he made some good cuts, and right here we got a little young receiver out there, Jamari West. We talked to him about attacking the cornerbacks on blocking assignments, and we still are not getting it, but that's part of growing up. And Tate Miller got off a great punt right here, so we were able to pin him back. But we came right here, and we didn't have gap integrity. We let him get outside on us right here, and he made a pretty good run right here, but we were able to get him down. Elijah Jackson there made a great tackle on the play, and of course right here, he's basically running lateral right here, so we wasn't hurt that bad, off the play there. And so defense did a pretty good job, and we had several 3-and-outs on them, and I was pleased with that. And right here we boxed the quarterback in, got a sack on him, and had good coverage down the field. They didn't have anyone to throw the ball to, and they tried to go deep right here, and Brashard Harris picked it off. I believe he got 7 interceptions on the year, so he done a great job for us, and we kind of shut him out that second quarter, and basically went in down 3-0 at halftime.
And I was going to say down 3-0 to a team that's been averaging a lot of points and historically scores a lot of points. Talk about just the momentum you guys had going into the half.
Well, we were pleased with it. Our defense was playing well, and the actual field goal that they got right there, we got a penalty, I think, that actually helped them get in position to be able to kick that field goal. I believe we got a pass interference penalty on that, and but I was pleased with them. I thought the defense was playing well, and I knew it was a matter of time. We was hoping that the offense just come out and get to clicking,
right? And
we still played the way we were, and we felt like we could get them.
Seems like whenever your secondary needs a big play, you always come up and make a big play there. And when we've talked about with Chris Beard, we've talked about your safeties, talked about your corners, and then they get an interception there right before halftime. Just talk about just the way this unit has played really throughout the course of the season.
Well, I think we probably have one of the best secondaries in the entire state as a unit. We have 16 interceptions in the secondary. Brashard Harris has 7. Mario Dobbins has 6. And we got Hakeem Ross has 1. Chris Beard has 2, I believe. And we actually had another pick in that game, but we had offsetting penalties. Tariq Woods got a pick last night, and in the game, and we had offsetting penalties, so it was taken away. But secondary, whenever we needed big plays, they made big plays, so I was proud of them.
Right, and you do that at a man and at a zone. Just talk about just the technique and some of the things that make them successful this year.
Well, we do a combination of it. Sometimes we play a cover 2 shell that's hard, and then sometimes we do a read cover 2 where it can either be man or it can either be zone depending on what the other team does. But, that's one of my little secrets I won't get out of the way on television.
And nor should you. You're going to need that one later on, and it's obviously working. From a adjustments perspective, this is where we always like to talk about what some of the things that they showed you in the first half as compared to some of the things you scouted and some of the things you saw on film.
Well, we just wanted to shut the jet sweep down a little bit. They run the power set, they run the jet sweep, and we just wanted to make sure that we kept integrity, kept them inside the box, and I felt like we would be okay, because anything else they do outside the jet and the power, we knew they were out of their element, and that's what you want a team to do, is what they're not comfortable with doing.
Absolutely. What about from your guys, from an attacking perspective, being the aggressor on offense? Anything that you saw in that first half that, hey, this kind of worked, maybe we can do a slight adjustment in the second half and be able to expose them a little bit?
Well, we just really wanted to move the football. I think at one point we were getting foot to foot. Our splits were too tight, and basically power teams do that, but we more of a quick team, a gap running team, and when you get foot to foot, it cuts down the amount of space that the running backs have to move in. And basically, that's the only adjustment that we wanted to make was we wanted to get the gaps that create the natural running seam so the guys could get up in there and we could move the football.
Absolutely. 3-0 your score at halftime. A great defensive performance by the Anniston Bulldogs as they went to the half. Second half highlights are coming up next, but first we'll take a listen to the band. And we'll not just do Friday night's performance, but since this is the last show, we will take a look back at the entire season from the band at Anniston High School this year. Second half highlights here in the Bulldog Blitz. Anniston down 3-0. Coach, talk about some of the things you wanted to see, especially early on, the first 5 minutes of the third quarter.
Well, we just wanted to come out and move the football, kind of get in rhythm right here. You see us run a little out pattern to Hakeem Ross, and, we kind of moving the ball. Tate had a good run right there in the beginning. Right here you see us hit Chris Beard on a comeback, and he makes a great move. And we're moving the football. We kind of got down in the red zone on this particular play. Jeremy McCants makes a great run around there, right side there. And, we just made some good runs. And right here we did a little guard run, a little trick play to try to get the first down. And, the officials thought that the center had the football. And so we got a penalty on it. And we end up turning the ball over on downs. And right here you can see the defense just basically swarming. We making good runs. They ran a counter. That was one of the great licks of the game right there. And by Tariq Woods, he hit the guy, the running back. It was a great running back, but he didn't wrap up. The guy kind of bounced out of it, but we still got him on a tackle for a loss. Should have been a bigger loss than that. And just trying to pump the guys up and get them going. Right here you see a great play by Edward Montgomery. They ran a zone read, and we had a kill on the backside, which we have both guys covered. And, they made a great play, and we made them punt the football. And right here, we get a return right here by Chris Beard. I think he was kind of waiting to see if something opened up, and really didn't. You can see Tay Miller right here scrambling. He makes a great throw to Chris Beard right here. And Chris makes a great run. That's about the third or fourth time this season he's done that. And we actually takes the lead right here. We kicked the PAT, and we went in a great situation. They tried to run a screen back here, and it's Dominique Bell makes a great tackle right there on number 1. So we got a great thing going right here. We get a sack right here by Elijah Jackson. We thought we had a fumble recovery, but we didn't come up with it. And right here we go again, and we actually had the sack there. You can see we hit him in the backfield, and we just didn't wrap up. And right here we move up, and they had a play right here, a busted play where we had 2 or 3 people that actually got their hands on the quarterback. We had him tackled for a loss, and instead he comes out with a 75-yard run, and it's just kind of a backbreaker for us. It should have been probably about 2 minutes left to go in the game, and I think right there we should have put it away. But with a little bit more experience, we probably would have put him away. And so we went down 2-minute drill here, and made a couple of great passes. You can see Mario Dobbins right here makes a great play, gets out of bounds to stop the clock, and we're moving the football right here. They only rushing 3, and we just trying to make a play happen, and we got Mario Dobbins in the end zone back there, and I believe he probably was out of the back of the end zone, but he made a great effort at trying to make the play, and we just came up, short 10-7, and just one of those things.
Yeah, it seems from the outside looking in, and you saw it there in the highlights, that you guys were physical at the point of attack, physical at the line of scrimmage, physical in the secondary as well. And like you said, it was the busted play that went 75. And I know you don't want to hinge everything back on one play because you can do that at any point of the season and create different situations and different momentums that swing different ways. But you have to be pleased with the way everything played out. Obviously, that last 95 seconds, you basically had the game won to the last 95 seconds of the game.
Well, we felt like we had it. Defense was, pretty hyped up, and, we were getting after them pretty good. And, of course, we had sacked them. We had had a play before that where we probably should have had a pick, but we kind of let that slip through our hands. And then we came back and, they had a busted play, according to Coach Heaton, he had the wrong personnel. They was lined up wrong. Everything they could do possibly on offense wrong, they did it. And, we actually had him sacked in the backfield in some kind of way. He came out of there and went 75 yards. And, that was a turning point right there. And, we just kind of let it slip away.
Russellville, they seem like a big football team. Kind of compare them for those the people in this area don't get to see teams that are in that northwest corner of Alabama. Talk about just the size perspective to them. Is there anybody you can compare them to that you've played earlier this year?
Well, size-wise, the offensive line is probably, comparable to, an Alexandria. I don't think they were as good as Alexandria line was, but they were pretty big guys. And then, of course, defensively, they had some guys. I think they had one linebacker that may have been 6'6".
Wow.
And, that's pretty big for a linebacker. But, they wasn't as physical as some of the teams we played in the region. Very rich football tradition, but, overall, I think we were probably more physical than they were, and I think we were just as fast as they were.
Absolutely. Always emotional game at the end of these kind of games, at every single playoff game, because one team, all the 31 other teams will end their season with a loss, and one team will win a state championship. What's the message to the team after an emotional game like that and everything that comes in, everything that goes with it, now being realized that it's all over?
Well, I just tell them that, the guys that are coming back to learn from the mistakes that we made, and I tell the seniors, I go in retrospect, I tell them that, you need to look at the opportunities that we had that we missed, that we probably should have taken advantage of in the beginning. And we may would have had a little different outcome. And then I'll try to tell the younger guys, hey, next year let's not try to get to this point. Let's be ahead of the game. Let's be ahead of the curve and try to make sure that we learn from all our past experience and move on. And of course, we had great momentum going into the game. And I think the last part of the season, team played as well as you can expect a team to play.
Absolutely. They'll look to springboard from 2015 into 2016. That's what we'll talk about next in our final segment here on the Bulldog Blitz. Join us. Final segment here on the Bulldog Blitz, and we'll look ahead to the 2016 team. We talked with Coach about using this season to springboard into next season. But first, we want to thank some seniors that are the class of 2016 playing their final game in 2015. First of all, Coach, obviously a lot of playmakers, a lot of starters, a lot of guys that had a lot of playing time on this football team.
Well, we had some guys there. We had Tay Miller. He's been with me for 4 years. Chris Beard, great player. Dominique Bell. Hakeem Ross, Jalen Parker, and Terrence Sizemore, and Jarvis Jackson, Lewis Hughley, Jaden McKenzie, Tyquavius Coleman. Those guys been with me for 4 years, and of course I had Johnny Russell for 2 years, and Elias Fulton was a transfer in, and just great players. And you always get attached to your seniors, and it's just this was one of the hardest classes for me to let go of because they. When you get a group and they start buying into what you're doing and what you believe in, it makes it great, and it's just kind of hard to let go of them once they do it. But I really enjoyed this group of seniors.
Absolutely, and they really kind of set a good example, especially at the end of the year, about the kind of team that Anniston can be moving forward. So now as we do move forward, Talk about everything that kind of goes into your off-season program as it relates to football. I know a lot of the football players play different sports. They run track, they play basketball, and other things. But talk about some of the things that you want to see from a football perspective between now and the time you kick off for spring ball.
Well, we want the guys, first of all, we want to get in the weight room so we can get a little bit stronger, with the guys who don't play the other sports, and of course the guys that do play, other sports, they'll probably be lifting with those sports. And then, just let them watch some film, let them see some things, and just talk a lot of football with them just to kind of get them acclimated to what, it takes in order to be good, because, a lot of those games that we lost that were close, probably could have been won in the off season. And that's why you win the games at. It's not on the Friday night when you play. It's basically what you do during the off season to get the kids prepared.
Right, and I know conditioning is usually never an issue with your team because
Right.
you do a lot of running in the season, and you're one of the most well-conditioned teams. But I would figure guys that play other sports, that really helps them out when they do run
Right.
track or play basketball or do other things that kind of help them out for football later on.
Well, that was one of the things, I basically got criticized a lot for was my conditioning. And, I was a well-conditioned athlete when I was in school and in college. And, I basically done a lot of it on my own. But in addition to what the coach had, I never had any problems with doing it. And, I just said I'd never lose a game because we was not in condition or, we were not strong enough to perform. And that's just part of my philosophy, because in the end, if you're thinking about making a play and you're in condition, you're not thinking about breathing, trying to find air.
Right.
So, and that helps you out mentally. So, basically I just believe in conditioning, and I think it helps them out. And I think they know that too. They know that we're going to be in shape.
Absolutely. I know this is called the Bulldog Blitz, and this is a football show, but you're more than just a football coach at Anderson High School.
Right.
You're also the athletic director and one of the best basketball coaches in the state. Talk about what lies ahead for your girls basketball team heading into this year.
Well, we get the majority of the girls back, and I'm just looking forward to trying to get them, cranked up and going. Actually, this year, I had to let you in on a little secret. I had planned on not coaching the girls this year. I was kind of getting a little bit depressed, getting down, and I thought that I, wasn't getting my message, or we wasn't getting enough of what I needed to get over to, football and basketball. So I had to kind of take a step back and evaluate myself. And part of that evaluation was I had planned on not coaching the girls. And, I sat back and thought about it. And, I told some of the girls that I was going through and actually coach them. So, I'm kind of looking forward to it. And, I think they're excited about it, too.
Absolutely. And final question really quickly. Reclassification comes up in February. There's a good chance that you might slide back down into 4A. What are some of the things that you've heard and some of the traction that you feel as you move into that?
Well, we were actually one of the smaller 5A schools this year, and it was a great experience for us, and actually when you step up in classification, it's the competition level steps up, That's no offense to any lower classification schools, but, the bigger schools have a lot more to choose from. Well, we were 5A school with probably 4A numbers, and, that sort of put us at a disadvantage. But I think we fared well the last 2 years, and I think with us being actually 4A, it'll give us an opportunity to compete with some schools that have, relative numbers to what we have.
Absolutely. Coach, it's been an absolute pleasure. All of 2015 being able to talk some ball with you and be able to break it down the program and break down Anderson football and highlight this school. It has been fantastic.
Hey, thanks y'all for having me, and I really enjoyed it, and just looking forward to doing it again next year.
Absolutely. 2016 is when we'll see you back here on the Bulldog Blitz. Thanks for joining us all season long. Have a great night and have a great 2015.